Hey, you guys, we want to give you something before the upcoming elections that we're praying and hoping that everybody gets involved in. And so we're just going to be calling these little inputs of data, hopefully very good information for you to get involved with and to make a difference. Your life should make a difference. And so we're going to be talking about these cultural engagement topics that we're all knowing about and hearing about, but we need to bring to a Christian perspective. So I hope this blesses you. First topic number one. Border control, the border immigration issue. Obviously, it's huge. In fact, it's not only huge in America, for whatever reasons, in the last several years, it's a huge topic globally. But let's just talk about America right now. The laws are on the books as they are. Let's agree with this, that no matter what our view is, the laws are the laws. And if we want to change the laws because we don't like them, there is a legal process that you go through in America where we, the people, change the laws. So we got to go with the card or the deck that we've been dealt. And this is the law. The law is that a nation, the United States, as all nations, have border laws. Every nation does. But the problem is when they're not enforced. When they're not enforced by those who we've elected, then we are flirting with anarchy or potential pandemonium. Many times, economically is where it starts. Yet here in California, for example, it's gone from economic to social, social areas where it's endangered people. So here's what the Bible says regarding this issue of border control and illegal immigration. Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 7 says there that the laws that have been given to us as a nation have been given to us by God, and that those who are called to enforce those laws are actually ministers of God's righteousness. So we are to obey the laws that exist. Now, the question is automatically going to rise up, well, what about people who just want to have a better living? That's a normal question, and that is a normal pursuit. But there are laws to be obeyed. For example, we know in America that there are a lot of people who have immigrated to the United States legally, and they're very passionate, they're very angry and very upset that there are those who are coming here illegally. So there's this dynamic. Also the issue where people are saying, for example, wow, I came here years ago illegally, I made a life, I've got kids, and now we have a life. Are you telling me that I'm going to have to be sent back? Currently, right now, coming out of Washington, D.C., is the answer to that, and here's what it is. It is no, you don't have to go back because you have been an established person here, but there are things that you need to get in line with now regarding taxes or regarding certain commitments, and the government is working on that to make it legal for those who have been here for a long time and have made a life. The only thing that interrupts that, you guys, and I think it's a good policy, it's a good practice, it is the law, that if you are discovered to be here illegally and you have committed crimes, you're a criminal, you are to be expelled immediately. That law has been on the books for decades. It's not a George Bush law, it's not an Obama law, it's not a Trump law, it's the law of the land. So there's a lot of things to this dynamic, and you need to be educated as to what it all means. What we want to be careful about, you guys, when we vote, is getting stuck on this topic of it being passionately or emotionally driven, because it really grabs our emotions. And if we listen to the news, which is hard because they have their agenda, we could get caught up and decide things emotionally rather than logically. So we want to be very smart. But keep this in mind regarding borders. No matter where you go in the world, I don't know if you've all traveled, but wherever you go in the world, you got to have a passport. You got to enter that country legally. I just recently went to Canada. I just recently went to England, and there's no going into those countries without being legal. Trust me. And when you come back to the United States, the same thing is in operation. You leave, or I left England. I had to do that legally. They had to make sure I was actually leaving, and same with Canada. They made sure I was leaving, and then the next thing I had to do was, of course, legally get back into the United States. This is normal. And you've got to do this. You've got to do this to maintain your citizenship. You've got to maintain your national defense. You've got to maintain your economy. Imagine that, where you would have an economy, but no native-born citizens could get a job because those who are illegal occupy all the jobs. That wouldn't be good for you or your family. So it's got to be well balanced. It's not an easy thing, but you begin by backing up and going with the current laws that you have. The problem that's happening right now in the United States and in Europe, excluding England. England is an island, and they have really tightened up their borders ever since the human refugee crisis that came out of Syria, where Europe was invaded. Listen, I mean this affectionately up front. They were invaded by people fleeing for their lives. Moms, grandmas, babies, dads, they were running for their lives because of Islamic terrorism in Syria. Unfortunately, we now know that a vast majority of people who flowed in with that body of people were none other than military-age young men, 15 to 25, that rode on the back, as it were, of those fleeing, those refugees, and now they've infiltrated Europe and have caused great problems, from public rapes to murders to a great rise of crime in the European Union. And so that's a very sad thing, but it's a factual thing. It's a factual thing, it's a sad thing, but due to the lack of border enforcement, Germany, other countries, Italy, Greece, they have suffered greatly because listen what they did. Emotionally, they compassionately bypassed their immigration laws to receive people in without vetting them. And in doing so, they have brought their nations to financial ruin. Germany's angry about this right now because they're paying the bill for everybody and they're running out of money. Germany cannot sustain any longer the economic disaster that bad immigration has done to the European Union. England, what drove a lot of the Brexit, that is Britain exiting the European Union, was the issue of illegal immigration. Britain now is contained. Britain's economy is exploding. Britain, as an island, is safe, and they have strong borders now. So listen, it's a strange thing, and yet it's one to be dealt with. Legally, the laws have got to be obeyed. We've got to start there. And then there can be a great dialogue regarding how do we vet those that are here now, and those that shouldn't be here, how we get them out of here. So borders is a big deal. And then I'll end with this. The Bible tells us that God himself, the book of Daniel tells us this, that it's the God of the Bible, the God of all creation. He's the one who has established the borders of nations and has placed people within those nations. That's kind of cool, right? Because every citizen should have a sense of national pride. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The Canadians should love Canada. Americans should love America. Cubans should love Cuba. That's normal. And in that love for your country, call it patriotism, which is like a dirty word these days, which is really ridiculously sad, but you should care for your country and for the welfare of your country. And what that means is that you support it. You pay your taxes and you be a good citizen. And of course, as Christians, we look to every opportunity to share the gospel. So it's getting back to the Bible in biblical world issues, knowing how to vote, because in this republic, we declare our participation, our engagement by voting. Listen, friends, by all means, do not sit out the vote. If you're 18 years of age or over, coming up for this November election, wherever you're at in the United States, vote, okay? God bless you. We'll see you guys back here soon with installment number 2 of how and why we should be engaging the culture.